Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this adorable little card with some of Simon Hurley's newest release. We've got Lunar Paste, we've got stamps, we've got stencils, so let's go ahead and get into it. I was lucky enough to receive some items from Ranger to demo for you. And today I'm going to show you how to make this adorable little card. Now I do use an older stamp set, not that it's that old, it was released this year. It just came out so early. It got put aside for my holiday projects. So we have the Dazzling Diamonds stencil, and we're going to be using this stamp set, which is called Polar Penguins. This comes from Simon Hurley and Ranger. We're going to use the little penguin with the little sign. We've got the Dazzling Diamond stencil. We've got the Mod Tree stencil. And this Dazzling Diamond stencil is really cool. It's a layering stencil. I'm only going to be using the smallest diamonds for this video. I'll demonstrate the others in a different video. And then we've got the mod trees, which are super cool. I'm not going to make mine too mod. I'm going to keep them fairly simple, but you can see that it's a layering set. It's got little registration marks, and it's got the little tree masks, and I'm going to go ahead and leave those right in that container so I don't lose them. Really fun little set, fun little stencil. So I like a layering stencil that is all one piece. And then we've got this Woodgrain background stamp. It is so cool. It's got the little kind of dots in it, so sort of a half tone. Then I also received these other two, which I will demonstrate in another video. This one's super cute, and so is this one. I love these little houses. It looks like they'll be super easy to fussy cut too, because I'm going to be doing a lot of fussy cutting. That's just my thing. There I've got a piece of fun foam that I'm going to use to pop up some of my parts. I'm going to start out with a piece of white, Simon Hurley Stark white cardstock, and I'm going to trim that down, and I end up trimming it some more, but I'm trimming it to a little bit under 5.5 and a little bit under 4 1/4. Because there are going to be a lot of layers to this card. And I don't know why I pulled that away from my trimmer there. Oh, because I didn't trim it right. Yeah, fuzzy measuring there. Let's get the measurements right. And again, not that it matters, because I'm going to trim it down some more. I decide that I want more of my wood grain showing. So this is going to be a part that goes on top of the background layer, and I want to get this one done first because I'm going to be using some Lunar Paste, and I want to make sure that it's dry. So I'm going to take my Simon Hurley ink in the fake plant, and I'm just going to ink blend over the whole thing. Doesn't have to be perfect because it is a background, but I do want to make sure I get the whole thing covered, because you can see I've got open spaces in there. And on my practice card, I got my diamonds going sideways. It's still cute, but I meant for them to go up and down. So we'll do it right on this one. And I went directly pad to paper on the original, but I'm ink blending this one because I don't need to. I ended up having to wipe up a lot of my ink because my ink pad is nice and juicy. And so I thought, well, that's kind of a waste of ink, so I'm not going to go that way this time. And there are hardly any parts in here where I speed things up. Just kind of you get an idea of what, real time, how long it takes to make a card like this. And you can make it complex or you can keep it simple. This is about midway. I will be using a die that I got from Gina K Designs. So I'm going to show you and tell you how to do it without the die. But see, let's get my diamonds going straight. So I'm just going to lay this down here, and I have a lot of faith in my little grip pad underneath. So I'm not going to tape anything down or magnet anything down. I'm just going to grab the new Lunar Paste here, and I'm going to grab the Gold Rush color. Such a beautiful gold. I had some dried on my hands last night. I didn't see it. And it was so pretty. I just kept looking at my hand going, oh, I guess I have to wash this off, but it's gorgeous. Look at that gold. It's amazing. I can see so many projects to come. So I'm just kind of carefully spreading this on. Try not to move my stencil or lift it. Doesn't matter. It spreads on nice and smooth. And then wiping off the excess and moving it to another spot. I mean, you all know how to stencil with stuff. This is just the beautiful golden Lunar Paste. And then I'll just wipe off the excess into my jar. Lift up my stencil. Oh, it's so pretty. And I'm just going to move this out of the way so I don't set something on it. Nope, that's not going to work because I will set something on it. And then clean off my stencil. And just cleans up with water. Go ahead and scrape off my little palette knife. And I like to tap it down on my desk before I put the lid on. And I just grab my water sprayer and my my little raggedy rag there and clean it all up. See how easy that cleans up if you're quick about it. Get it all wiped down. And there, my stencil's ready to go for next time. Just make sure there's no stray parts. I'll just clean off my palette knife. This is one palette knife I got from Hero Arts. I kind of wanted a fancy one, so that's what I did. So now we're gonna work on the stamp portion. This is the Woodgrain stamp, and I'm gonna just lay it down onto my little silicone mat and wipe off any little excess stray hair thingies that I may have acquired from somewhere. And I'm going to be using the Weeping Willow ink, and I'm going to be using this cream colored paper. So I'm just going to go in with my ink, and I'm going to both rub and tap. I don't want any lines in there, but it wouldn't really matter because there's lines in there, so doesn't matter at all. And pick off any of those stray little, I need to trim off my stamp pad. And then I like to use the whole piece of paper because, check it out, I don't have to worry about getting ink on my hands. Now, we all know I don't worry about that, but sometimes I'd just rather not, especially when I'm working on a bigger project where there's a good chance that I might get ink where I don't want it. So I'm just using my little pressure tool to press that down, and look at that gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous stamped image of that wood grain. So just cleaning off my stamp with some water. There's a lot of nooks and crannies in this stamp, so you want to make sure that you're getting that ink out of those best you can. And then just clear off my mat, and then I'm going to trim down this wood grain paper here, because it's going to be used twice in this project. So I'm going to be using the center portion of it, and I'm going to be using the outside edges as a frame. So I will trim this down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'm just kind of being picky about, you know, where my wood grain is, because I want to make sure that, you know, I maximize the beauty of this thing. Now you can ink your paper up with whatever color you want first, and then do a darker color to get any kind of wood you want. Okay, we want to go to 5 1/2. There we go. And you see where I'm just kind of picking and choosing where my grains are for the outside portion of my frame. So I've got that done. Now I kind of want to go around the outside edges of it, kind of darken them down and add some more color. So I'm just going to grab my brush, and I'm going to grab the Weeping Willow again. I'm just going to brush it in just starting, you know, off my mat and onto the paper, getting all the way around the edges. I really like working with this mat. You can see it is so well loved. I've stained it with alcoholing. I've done all kinds of mean things to it. I need a new one for videotaping, but you know, I'll wreck that one too. And besides that, you can't find them anywhere. I have some other ones. The difference is that they have the little square grids in them, and those grids will show up. So here is my die, and this is from Gina K Designs. It is one of her master layouts. I want to say it's master layout 11, and this is the first Gina K die I've ever purchased. I just never really thought that I would need something like that, but boy, did I. This thing, I saw this one and fell in love with it. So there's that. So that I'm going to set aside as my frame. And then inside, I've got my little perforated stamps. And you can take a knife or any kind of tool you want and kind of clear off those excess holes. But I'm going to go ahead and put this in my trimmer. I'm going to trim these down because I want them separate, as you can see from the sample that I did. So I want them to be their own individual stamps. And I'll just take my little brush here and brush off any of those excess little dot thingies. Now you don't have to use this, you can just cut into squares. And I do show you the measurements here in this video so that you can kind of get an idea of how these are measured. Okay, and then you can see all the little dots all over. And I want to take and edge this too. So I'm getting some more dots off, and here's my 4 pieces. And this little piece I didn't quite trim it right, so I'm going to just take and see if I can pick that excess off. If not, I'll just take my little scissors and trim it off right there. I don't want to lose the shape of the postage stamp shape at all. Then I'll take the Weeping Willow and I will go around all 4 edges of all 4 of these little background pieces. And I'm going to use, for this, I'm going to use my Dome Foam blending tool because I want it a little bit darker, a little bit more precise. I love Simon's neutrals, especially the Cookie Dough and Weeping Willow. They're my favorite. Just love this color. I'm a brown kind of gal anyway, or neutrals. It's kind of funny too because like they say, you know, you have a certain color palette for your skin type and stuff, and everything is cool tone, and I'm not a cool tone person, so it's no fair. All right, I've got all 4 of those. Now I need to work on my pieces that I'll be popping up. And for that, I'm going to use this craft colored paper. And I have this die that came with the master layout set. And it is 4.5 by 5.25, but it doesn't cut the edges. So, and I don't necessarily need to keep this piece. If I wanted to, I would have trimmed it down first. But I am trimming it so I can fit it in my vagabonds. So here's the pieces trimmed out. And I'll just set all these other goodies aside. Sometimes stuff's hard to pick up off this silicone. So I've got all those parts done that I need done. Now I'm going to work on my Christmas trees. Okay, I wanted to get all those little dots off of there. So I'm going to lay my stencil down, and can you see the registration marks there? I'm not going to be using them today, but they're there so that you can match things up. I'm going to basically just use them to kind of line up, not that it needs to be because I'm going to fussy cut these out. And I'm going to color them with 2 shades of green. So I'm going to start with the lighter shade of the Later Gator. And I have this little finger blending brush here. And I'm going to blend that in just the middles. And it's okay if it goes out to the outside edges, but I just want the middles of these to be the lightest. And you see those little half trees over there? Those are cool to, you know, give like a two-tone tree effect as well, but more of a modern take on it. I'm kind of going traditional with this particular card-ish, sort of, not, because I've never seen a brown penguin, but, you know. I really wanted everything to kind of dance well together. So you see I'm here with the fake plant now doing the outside edges of these trees. And again, I don't care if I get it everywhere on this paper because I'm going to be fussy cutting. All right, got those. Let's wipe off my stencil just to avoid getting green ink on everything. And always remember to wipe off the back of your stencil too, because sometimes stuff can get up underneath there. So now I've got the embellishment part of these trees, and for that I'm going to be using my Lunar Paste. So I'm going to set this on here. My what is this thing called now? Oh my gosh, my stencil is a little damp. I'm going to line them up the way I want them. And I'm going to do the two outside ones silver and the middle one gold. This stuff is so shiny when it dries, it's gorgeous. I'm just going to grab my little palette knife again and just get a little bit up on the back side of the knife and spread that down in. Just trying not to get it over on my tree that I want to be gold. Get it nice and even. I don't want too thick because I don't feel like waiting for it to dry. And these are such small areas that you really don't need thick Lunar Paste on there. It shines on its own in these small increments. Okay, we'll put away the silver, we'll get out the gold. And we'll do our middle gold tree. And I'm just taking some off the top of the bottle there that settled up there when shipping. And I'm being careful not to get any over on my silver trees. So I have a little bit of excess on there, but I'm not going to try and wipe it off because I don't want to spread it onto my silver trees. So I'll just pull up my stencil and just clean off my stencil as is. All right, there's our little trees done. All we have to do is cut them out and clean off our stencil first, of course. Again, just a little bit of water. You could like do something with the excess, but just in the interest of time, I'm not going to do that today. Hopefully that I'm real excited that we got gold and silver in our Lunar Paste. I'll be excited to see more new colors in the future. All right, our little background piece is dry. Doesn't take very long to dry at all. Does not gold look just beautiful and gorgeous and shiny? So now I'm going to go ahead and off camera cut those out, but I'm going to let them dry a little bit first, and we'll work on our little penguin. This little penguin set is so stinking adorable. It's the polar penguins that Simon Hurley, I think he released them, I want to say in August? I can't remember. Somebody correct me. But I bought them. I bought all of it. And I haven't even used it yet because, well, it hasn't been Christmas yet, or, you know, holiday making season for me anyway. I did a lot of Halloween, so I'm going to go ahead and just grab a piece of, this is the Simon Hurley Stark White cardstock. I will get that spit out. And I'm going to grab my little stamp set. This little penguin that holds that little banner is so cute. And I'm going to do penguin first, and I'm going to be stamping penguin out. And it doesn't matter where, because I'm going to fussy cut him too. And these are really easy to cut out too, especially the trees. But, you know, it's a simple design. There's not a whole lot of sharp, you know, sticking out, protruding details, except for just those little strings on the side, and they're easy enough to cut out. And I've got my clear embossing powder, and I've got my little anti-static powder tool that I'm going to use on my paper. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this over and grab my VersaFine Clair in Nocturne. And get them nice and wet. I need to re-ink my VersaFine. It's by far the one I use most, and I think that's true for most of us, because it's so versatile and it can get some really, really fine detail stamping without bleeding or anything. All right, I'm happy with that. So I'll just pull this out of here. I'll grab my clear embossing powder. And this is the Ranger Clear Ultrafine. And just grab my heat tool and make sure that the whole little guy's embossed. Y'all, I need to clean my heat tool. Now, see, what I need is all black things, because I just get anything that's white or light colored, I get it dirty. And, you know, I don't clean it off right away. I just don't. I'm too busy. I work full time, and then, you know, I do, you know, design team videos, and I like to just make for the sake of making too. So I'm going to grab this little Mary. Anyhow, I digress. I'm going to grab this little Mary and stamp that down on the banner. And make sure, now see, when you've done the heat embossing, your paper wants to go a little warpy on you. So I want to make sure that I have the part that I want to stamp as flat as possible. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'm just basically fitting it into the banner, and they're designed that way. And I'm going to stamp that out with the fake plant. I'm going to stamp it twice and move fast and try and heat emboss the clear embossing powder over that Mary as well. Two reasons for that. Reason one, it keeps me from smearing the ink everywhere. And reason two, it looks cool. So it looks like it managed to hold that embossing powder. So let me go ahead and just heat emboss this down. And sure enough, I was quick enough before the ink could soak in to get that stamped down and coated. So there we've got our little penguin. All we have to do is color him. Or her. I don't know. Whatever. I guess since I had boys, everything's a him. You know, unless it's wearing a bow, but even hymns wear bows, so yeah, no fair. I guess I could call it them, but no, it's a little him. He's a little happy little penguin. So I'm going to be coloring this with my Spectrum Noir markers that I've had for a long time and never used because I'm not a fan of coloring. And, you know, the colors are labeled, but I don't pay any attention to the labels. I just swatch it. If I like it, it's the color I use. So I'll try and remember to put that in the description box, just in case you're wondering what colors I'm using. But this is just kind of a medium, kind of brownish, reddish, warm. It's a warm color. And then this one, see, I'm just going too fast and I can't see what I'm doing to tell you what color that is. Just for his feet, it's kind of an orangey color. And then this one here is a really kind of a light tan. And I'm going to go in with the chisel nib first because it just makes it go faster. And then I'll come in with the fine nib to fill in the little spaces. So it's just simple coloring. It's the I would love to learn how to do super fancy coloring, maybe someday. There's a maker named Alberto. Oh my gosh. He's got to be, between him and Daniel West, these guys can really throw down some color. I mean, they can make anything look dimensional and amazing, but I think he looks pretty adorable just by himself. So I went ahead and fussy cut all these things out, and now we're ready to assemble our card. Okay, so I'm grabbing here the measurements for you of the bigger piece. And then, so it looks to be a little bit over 1.5 by, about 2.25, I think. I couldn't see it, yeah. And then this one's 2 by 1.25. So that'd be fine. You can do them any way you want. You just want one about 1/4 inch smaller than the other one. So that's how you would do those if you didn't have this set. And if you wanted to get that postage edge, you may have a die or you may not. I have had some luck, and I'm going to go ahead and darken down the edges of these too. I've had some luck getting an edge like that, obviously with my decal trimmer, but also I have a pair of thinning shears for cutting hair, and they work pretty good to like make perforations. So, you know, or just don't have perforations. It doesn't matter. You're still going to get the dimension and the look that we're going for here. And I'm just, you know, doing my best to make this look like, you know, old wood. Just add that extra little flair. Again, with the weeping willow. All right, got all those pieces done. Get them all moved aside so that I can really start to put this bad boy together. And that little green thing that you see sitting there, by the way, that's some fun foam. I want to go ahead and stamp the Christmas on here. So I'm going to grab my little penguin and set him where I think I want him to be, so that I can kind of get a good placement on my Christmas. And my stinking magnets are trying to stick together. Get him moved where I need him. I want to make sure that's centered because the Christmas is curved also. So I kind of want him standing on the Christmas word, holding his little banner. Oh, so cute. This stamp is teeny tiny. So was the Mary. Sometimes they're so small I can't even see them. Okay, I have that where I want it. Let me go ahead and move these things. Try not to move my bottom piece there. It looks like it really didn't move much. If it did, I'm going to live with it. Just test it there, and then try and decide. And I believe that I am going to go ahead and use the fake plant for the Christmas word like I did in the original. I know sometimes I probably irritate you guys because I do a prototype and then I change it up while I'm doing it live or doing a video for it because I change my mind after the fact, or I want to do a second sample of another color range. And I'm going to go ahead and put these back right away so that I don't lose them because that happens. All right, now we're ready to assemble. So here I've got my kind of my background layer, and I want to grab a piece of craft cardstock, and here I've got this layer that we set aside earlier. Remember that we cut those little guys out with? And I'm going to glue that down. I'm just going to use regular glue. This is yeah, this is going to be my reptile adhesive. I'm just going to open up my card here And try not to drop this and set it on there where it's nice and even. Get it pressed down, try not to get my gluey fingers on there. And then see, this is where I decide I want to trim this down quite a bit because I want that wood grain showing. It's so pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab my trimmer. And this is why I think people like those master layout things, because of all the different sizes that you can get. And you get a nice, clean, like rounded type cut. And I'm just kind of eyeballing, measuring here, trying to see where I want this. It needs to go a little bit over that little kind of scallopy edge. So I'm just doing little bits at a time until I'm happy, like, you know, 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch bits. Let's see. Yep, I can see my wood grain everywhere. I'm happy with that, so I will go ahead and glue that part down too. So I've been trying to do my, you know, videos, not live, but, you know, talking you through them while I'm doing them. But I get irritated. The way that my phone is set up, I can hear myself breathing and it bugs me. So I have to erase. I basically do a voiceover because I can't stand to hear myself breathing and sniffing. It annoys me. So most of the time when I'm doing that, I'm doing these in the early morning, and I'm one of those people that wakes up congested. And it takes, I don't know, a couple hours for everything to kind of clear up, sneezing and all kinds of stuff. I'm probably allergic to my bed or my hair or something, I don't know. But anyway, the noise of it just annoys the crud out of me when I'm watching, you know, rewatching the video. So I pull out all the audio and do it from my iPad because you can't hear the breathing as much. So that's that. So I'm cutting these down. This is that fun foam that I was showing you. And I'm cutting them down just a little bit smaller than my little plain piece, because those are the pieces I'm going to pop up. So I'm cutting them down to like 1 1/8 by, I don't know, 1 7/8, I forget. Smaller, that's all. Just making them smaller, so I need to cut 4 of them. You could use, you know, extra pieces of paper. I know Jennifer McGuire uses a lot of scrap paper to do this. But I've got this big pile of fun foam that I'm trying to use up, so it just takes up a lot of space. So I'll go ahead and cut this one to the 2-inch mark instead, because, yeah, I don't know. No rhyme or reason. Just a crafting. Okay, so we've got that piece dry. We'll set that aside, and we'll start to assemble our little squares. So I'm going to put the fun foam at the back of each one of these. Make sure it's not hanging off the edge anywhere. Trim it if I need to. And that's going to sit right on top of there. So I'll just glue this on top of there. I feel like that green is sticking out a little bit much for my taste, so I'm just going to pull it back before it has a chance to settle in and trim it off with my scissors. But what's cool about the fun foam is it comes in multiple colors, and so even if some showed through, it's green and it goes with the card. So I'm pretty generous with the glue here so that I can move it around and get it set where I need it. And there, that popped up just like that. Looks really cute. When you're pushing down on something like that, you want to go straight down. And the reason is if you, I don't know, if you push like from the sides, it tends to slippy slide around on you. So we're just going to go ahead and do these 4 pieces. And again, there is barely any of this video that I have sped up, so this is why it's a long video, and most likely I'll be setting it as a premiere so that you guys can visit with each other while you're watching. And if you catch the replay, then you can speed it up if you want to. I do. Honestly, I speed a lot of them up because there's a lot of videos that I watch just to support my friends. And so I'll speed them up just to, you know, make sure that I can sit and watch the whole video. And then there are people who make really, really long videos that, you know, I just don't have, you know, I work full time, and I'm trying to build this little YouTube thing, and I just don't have time. We won't even talk about my laundry. See, don't these look so cute on that little wood grain stamp type thing? I just think they're adorable. I think I was watching Jennifer McGuire, and I believe that she and Gina Kay came up with this design together for this die set. I'm so happy they did. All right, there's our last one. We're coming to the finish line, folks. You could do these assembly line, though. Cut a bunch of one, cut a bunch of other, do a bunch of stamping. If you wanted multiples of this card. So you can see that this card takes me about, well, 45 minutes. Maybe an hour. Nah, I probably only cut maybe 60 seconds out of my coloring of my penguin by speeding it up. All right, so there's this template, and it ends up not really working out because I didn't trim this down to the measurements that it's meant to be. Remember? So otherwise you can use it as a template to set your little stamps down. See, and you can draw right within there. And you get your spacing, you know, fairly even. Now the little stamps are larger than the little windows here. So you can't like glue them over top of it, but you can take some sort of a pen, because you are going to be covering them, and draw in those squares or rectangles, just as a guide. And I just used a sparkly pen so I could see it on a dark surface. And I'm measuring it there. They're about, look to be about a 1/4 inch spaced for the smaller ones, so they need to be about an 1/8 inch spaced because we've got the bigger squares. I would venture to say this is the hardest part of the project, is making sure that these guys go on nice and evenly spread. I'm just kind of moving it around until it's where I think I need it to be. And see, those little squares that we drew are going to be covered up no matter what. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just sort of eyeball these, still kind of moving them around the way I want them. And then I'll glue them down. And I'll start with one in the corner and then just go from there. There we go. I just cut myself out of completely moving those around till I was happy. We'll go ahead and pop these little other parts up. And I'm just going to use regular foam tape for this. And what I do is I trim down the little kind of pointy edge on the foam tape so that it can go all the way almost to the top of the tree, or whatever, you know, shape we're working with. A little goober on there. And it's a little bit longer, so I'll just bend it and trim it off. And I know that I want this tree up in the top right corner. And I'm not putting them perfectly in the center of these little squares. I'm just kind of putting them, I don't know, random seating. Some poking up, some not. But in that random, I've got penguins, so I've got my caddy corner. I've got this top left tree and my bottom right penguin, both up over the top of the stamp, the little postage stamp thingy. And then the other two trees will not go up over the top. So that's that. It's by design. I like it that way. You can put them on there straight if you want to. I don't mind. So I'm going to trim this one down too. Lay that foam tape on and then just tape it down. Home stretch, folks. This one has our little silver Christmas balls on it. And then we'll get our little tree with its little silver, I don't know, maybe it's supposed to be tinsel hanging down. Whatever it is, it's cool. And I want that one closer to the bottom. So it's kind of crazy, right? Now all I want to do is I want to put some little snowflake embellishment on here. And that's a pretty simple task. These are little clay bits. You can skip that. You can use sequins. Use what you have, or use nothing. Use stickles. I just have these. I bought these for this season, so I intend on using them this season. And I like to, with the little clay bits, I like to put my glue down first, so that it has a chance to kind of set up. And it does dry clear, by the way. So I'm looking for my little tweezers because they're great for picking up these little clay bits. The little sharp pointy ones, the Sizzix ones that are over there to the left, there they are. See, I couldn't find them. Yeah. So I'm going to lay my glue where I want my snowflakes to be. All at one time, and then lay down my snowflakes. One on his little tummy, one by his little, I don't know, arm. One here, and one on the tree. So you've got kind of, I don't know, you've got organized chaos. Kind of like our craft rooms, right? Sit. See, these are a little bit thicker, but they're not, you know, thicker than the thickness of the foam tape. Just give it that little added touch of a little bit of wintry snow. And that's our Merry Christmas card, guys. Took a little bit of time, but I really wanted to showcase these beautiful lunar pastes and these darling little trees that are in the stencil set. Aren't those cute? So I hope that you try this, and I hope you like this video. Do visit Ranger to pick up the Simon Hurley stamps. And if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. I thank you so much for spending time with me today, and have yourself an awesome day. Bye-bye.